Hello, I'd like to welcome you to the Native American Heritage Month. We will be celebrating by reading Cherokee Voices, Early Accounts of Cherokee Life in the East. This book is by Vicki Rosema. I really enjoy reading this book. I read most of it in about an hour or so after buying it. I knew it was going to be a good book because it was only closed in plastic when I went to the Books A Million. But I really wanted to share this with people who don't have enough time to sit down and absorb the information on their own. The Cherokee often told stories every night by the fire to kind of reconnect with each other and to kind of reflect on the day. And I wanted to do kind of like a fireside chat, but for Heritage Month we will do this book here. I'm just going to start from the beginning here, where it talks about the preface of why the book was written. It says, one of the many books about the Cherokee, the vast majority have been written in the third person by people who lived years after events occurred. Old records are pulled from archives, dusted off, interpreted, and published by historians and writers who seek to peel back the layers of time to provide insights into our past. Regardless of how accurately they try to represent the events and the people that shaped our country and our heritage, modern writers inevitably lose something in the translation of voices speaking from a different culture, a different time, and a different perspective. No one can speak more eloquently of their lives, trials, and customs than the people who actually lived the experiences. This book is a collection of first-person accounts of the Cherokees during the 18th and 19th centuries. These selections have been gathered from journals, treaty records, and correspondence written by Cherokees or by Europeans or Americans who lived among or visited the Cherokees. The excerpts chosen represent a wide range of historical events and daily activities of the Cherokees. From the descriptions of treaty meetings, dances, sports, religion, and death, we witness a rich cultural tradition through the eyes of those who actually lived the events. Accounts of the 1838 Cherokee removal are not included in this volume. The events surrounding the Trail of Tears are sufficient in scope to warrant a separate book to follow shortly. It is unfortunate that most of what we know about the Cherokees prior to the 20th century was written by people of European descent. For this reason, I chose many of the accounts in this volume because they are written or spoken by Cherokees. I selected accounts in which the main speakers are white because they include speeches by Cherokees or provide unusual insight into the daily lives and customs of the Cherokees. The accounts span nearly 2 centuries of Cherokee history and provide a glimpse of how Cherokee culture changed during that time period. They are arranged in chronological order, starting with Alexander Cummings' visit in 1730, in which we see Cherokees from the lower and middle settlements who are somewhat mesmerized by the British. Just 20 years later, we have a front row seat at talks in Charleston, where skilled negotiators Little Carpenter and Ski-Gunsta argue successfully with the British governor for concessions and a new fort in the Cherokee Nation. The accounts take us from a period when the Cherokees were heavily dependent on European trade to a time when they became self-sufficient farmers, mechanics, and ferry operators. We watch as they change from an oral-bound tradition to a society publishing its own newspaper. We listen as they plead for the white man to leave their lands alone. In an effort to be as fair to the original speakers as possible, I have chosen to edit the first-person account sparingly. Readers will encounter misspellings, poor grammar and punctuation, and inconsistencies of various sorts. But even in the least sophisticated of the narratives included here, strong and clear testimonies shine through. In the 18th and early 19th centuries, handwriting and printing used the elongated S, which looks like a modern-day F. To avoid confusion in the accounts written prior to 1818, it was necessary to replace the elongated S with the standard S. In the excerpt from Alexander Cummings' journal in Hands and Hearts Joined Together, I have removed paragraph numbers for readability. I performed additional editing on the chapter entitled The Price of a White Shirt to correct gross misspellings and some errors in capitalization and punctuation. In the section entitled List of the Prices of Goods, I added abbreviation and inserted explanations in brackets to clarify archaic terms. Finally, I found it necessary to greatly edit both of the Brainerd mission letters in the chapter entitled An Ardent Zeal to make them readable. The Catherine Brown letter was particularly hard to read due to its deteriorating condition, misspellings, and unusual punctuation. In each case, I have tried to leave colloquialisms, local vernacular, and the original meaning intact. Many thanks are due to the librarians and staffs at the Chattanooga-Hamilton County Bicentennial Library and the Lupton Library at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga for their help while I was researching this book. In addition, I would like to thank all libraries that participate in the interlibrary loan system. Finally, I am grateful to the park rangers and staff at Newachota State Park in Georgia for use of their library facilities.